Breaking news, guys. Breaking news, man. Lil Jon's son is missing. I got the news from my girl, Reality TV, who is from Georgia.
The conversation turned to broader reflections on public empathy and responsibility. Reality TV, the co-host, highlighted that while Nathan's case involved a celebrity family, the emotions it evokes are universal. Parents, siblings, friends, and communities can all relate to the agony of someone they care about disappearing. He encouraged viewers to extend their prayers, thoughts, and vigilance beyond this single case, emphasizing that awareness, compassion, and action matter for every vulnerable individual. The hosts discussed the delicate balance of media coverage, informing the public without sensationalizing the pain, and the responsibility that comes with reporting such personal crises. The segment also highlighted the viral nature of certain social media posts related to Nathan's disappearance, noting that while some clips raised concern, others spread misinformation. The hosts cautioned viewers to rely on verified sources, like law enforcement updates, and not jump to conclusions based on unverified footage. The potential for panic or misinterpretation was high, making careful, factual reporting essential. Ultimately, Boss Talk TV framed Nathan's disappearance as both a deeply personal tragedy and a complex public situation. By contextualizing who Nathan Murray Smith is, detailing his life, accomplishments, and identity beyond his father's fame, the hosts provided viewers with a holistic understanding of the stakes involved. They highlighted the human dimension, parental fear, personal vulnerability, and career aspirations, while also conveying the operational realities of an ongoing police investigation. The program underscored the importance of vigilance, community cooperation, and respect for the family's privacy, while painting a full picture of why this case had captured national attention. As the broadcast concluded, viewers were left with a profound sense of urgency and empathy, aware that every moment counted in the search for Nathan, the young artist, the son, and the human being suddenly lost from view in Milton, Georgia.
Breaking news, guys. Breaking news, man. Lil Jon's son is missing. I got the news from my girl, Reality TV, who is from Georgia, by way.
The hosts of Boss Talk TV took swift action in the early hours of the news cycle, immediately urging their viewers to assist in spreading awareness about Nathan Murray Smith's sudden disappearance. Recognizing the urgency and the gravity of the situation, they emphasized that public attention could be critical in helping law enforcement locate him quickly and safely. To ensure accuracy, they read directly from the official reports released by the Milton Police Department, carefully confirming all the core facts: that Nathan, also known by his stage name DJ Young Slade, had walked out of his home without shoes, a phone, or identification, that he was potentially disoriented, and that authorities were treating this as a high-priority welfare case. The hosts did not stop there. Understanding that fragmented media coverage could create confusion, they provided context from multiple sources to give their audience a clear picture of the situation. They relayed parallel reporting from TMZ, which had taken the story national and amplified its reach to millions of viewers across the country. This allowed Boss Talk TV's audience to see how the story was not only a local concern but a matter drawing attention from major national outlets, underlining the seriousness of the case and the prominence of the family involved. Furthermore, the hosts broke down the sequence of events for viewers, explaining how quickly the missing person alert had been issued, how social media played a role in spreading Nathan's photograph and description, and how authorities were requesting that anyone who saw him contact police immediately rather than attempt to approach him directly. They highlighted the unusual and alarming aspects of the case, such as Nathan leaving in a potentially confused state and without any means to reach help, reinforcing why community vigilance was so important. By combining official reports, national media coverage, and expert commentary, the hosts of Boss Talk TV not only informed their audience, but also mobilized them. They underscored the responsibility of viewers to share information responsibly and encouraged anyone with credible leads to contact authorities immediately. Their detailed reporting, delivered with urgency and care, positioned the show as a critical source of information during the early and crucial hours of this unfolding disappearance, bridging the gap between local law enforcement communications and national awareness.
It seems that maybe he was, I'm not going to say, I don't know if he was under the influence of a drug or whatever, but he ran out of the house barefoot with no phone or nothing.
Their co-host, Reality TV, was among the first to step in with additional context and insights regarding the unfolding situation, taking the time to break down the early details in a way that the audience could fully understand. During the broadcast, Reality TV meticulously relayed information that had been circulating across multiple Georgia-based media outlets, drawing from reports by local television stations, online news platforms, and regional journalists covering the story. They described the circumstances surrounding Nathan Murray Smith's disappearance, highlighting the unusual and concerning elements, such as the fact that he had left his home without personal belongings, a phone, or identification, and was potentially disoriented. Reality TV also emphasized the evolving nature of the situation, making it clear to viewers that the information being reported was preliminary and could change as law enforcement gathered more evidence or located new leads. They explained that multiple sources across Georgia were independently confirming aspects of the story, including the time Nathan was last seen, the neighborhood he walked into, and the rapid response from local authorities. Beyond just reporting the facts, reality TV contextualized the emotional impact on the family, noting that Lil Jon had issued statements requesting privacy and prayers, and underscoring how this disappearance had gripped the local community. In addition, the co-host highlighted the coordination between law enforcement agencies, social media networks, and news outlets in spreading Nathan's photograph, physical description, and the missing person alert. Reality TV pointed out that the rapid spread of information demonstrated both the seriousness of the case and the public's concern for Nathan's welfare. By providing this thorough overview, reality TV helped viewers understand the gravity of the situation while also stressing that authorities were urging the public to report any sightings or information, but to avoid attempting direct contact due to potential safety concerns. In essence, reality TV became a crucial voice in the early hours of the story, synthesizing fragmented reports, offering clarity amidst confusion, and ensuring that viewers had a detailed, accurate understanding of the events as they unfolded in real time across Georgia and the broader national media landscape.
Lil Jon is dealing with a scary situation right now, TMZ said. His son, DJ Young Slade, has been reported missing in Georgia. The same thing, the Milton Police Department put out a missing persons alert Tuesday saying 28-year-old Slade, legal name Nathan Murray Smith, ran out of his home on foot and hasn't been seen since. And he doesn't have a phone, he may be disoriented, and he could be in need of help.
Lil Jon's son left his home early one morning without his phone, without shoes, and without any personal belongings, and he has not been seen since. What has intensified public fear and speculation, however, is newly viral footage that surfaced online shortly after his disappearance. The video, reportedly posted by individuals described as rivals of Lil Jon, is now being interpreted by many as a deeply unsettling signal directed at his father. The situation has rapidly evolved from a missing person case into something far more disturbing. This is the vanishing that every parent fears. On the morning of February 3, 2026, at approximately 6 a.m., a 27-year-old man walked out of his residence in Milton, Georgia. Milton is a quiet, affluent suburb located roughly 30 miles north of downtown Atlanta, known for its low crime rates and peaceful neighborhoods. According to authorities, the man left his home in what was later described as a potentially disoriented state. He did not bring his cell phone. He did not take his wallet, identification, or any personal items. He was not wearing shoes. He did not enter a vehicle, request transportation, or leave behind any form of communication. He simply exited his house, turned in the direction of the intersection at Baldwin Drive and Mayfield Road, and vanished into the darkness of the early morning hours. The man's name is Nathan Murray Smith. In the music world, he is better known by his stage name, DJ Young Slade. He is the son of Jonathan Smith, the Grammy-winning, multi-platinum producer, rapper, and cultural icon known globally as Lil Jon. Within hours of Nathan's disappearance, the Milton Police Department issued a formal missing person alert. His photograph, physical description, and last known location were immediately distributed across police social media platforms and regional law enforcement networks. What distinguished this case from a typical adult disappearance was one critical and deeply concerning detail emphasized by police. Nathan may have been disoriented and could be in need of immediate assistance. Without a phone, he had no way to contact anyone. Without identification or a wallet, he had no means of proving who he was or seeking help. Authorities made it clear that there was no known threat to the public, but they urged anyone who might encounter Nathan to contact law enforcement immediately for a welfare check rather than attempting direct interaction. Local media outlets moved quickly. Fox 5 Atlanta was among the first to broadcast the alert, reporting that Nathan was last seen near Baldwin Drive in Milton. WSB-TV followed with televised coverage, emphasizing police concerns about his mental and physical well-being. Within 24 hours, the story spread far beyond Georgia. NBC News ran a national segment outlining the circumstances of his disappearance. People magazine published a statement from the family requesting privacy and prayers, accompanied by a 2016 photograph of Lil Jon and his son, highlighting their close relationship. USA Today reported that family representatives described the situation as an unimaginably difficult time. BET focused its coverage on the emotional toll on the family and the urgency expressed by authorities. The Hollywood Reporter added further context, noting Lil Jon's estrangement from Nathan's mother, Nicole Smith, introducing another layer of complexity to an already alarming situation. As the coverage intensified, social media and YouTube commentary channels erupted. On Boss Talk TV, the host delivered the news with visible emotion, reflecting the growing fear and confusion shared by audiences nationwide. What began as a local missing person alert had rapidly become a national story, fueled by unanswered questions, disturbing online activity, and a father's worst nightmare unfolding in real time.
Praying for not just Lil Jon missing person, but
All of them.
missing people, because I know that he's a celebrity and they get, a bigger publicity and all that, but prayers for everybody that's looking for a missing person.
As a relatively low-profile DJ and producer compared to his father's global fame, Nathan Murray Smith had always managed to carve out his own path in music without becoming embroiled in public feuds, industry drama, or personal conflicts. His social media presence, particularly on Instagram, reflected a life dedicated to family, music, and his growing career. Posts highlighted collaborations, performances, and positive updates, showing a young man steadily building his brand, connecting with fans, and advancing in the music industry on his own terms. Yet, the harsh reality of hip-hop culture is that the children of famous figures often inherit a burden simply by association. The history of the genre is rife with examples of children being caught in the crossfire of adult rivalries, a pattern that has repeated itself across decades, leaving psychological scars and, in extreme cases, real-world danger. Nathan's disappearance taps into this darkest pattern, the way children, entirely innocent, can become collateral damage when their parents' enemies or public feuds loom over them, even when they themselves have no involvement in the conflict. The footage circulating of Nathan discussing his father in a previously recorded interview now carries a weight far beyond what was intended. On its own, it was an ordinary interview clip, a young man speaking openly and warmly about his father, Lil Jon, describing him as simply Dad, a man who drinks tea, watches movies, and supports his family. But juxtaposed against the reality of his disappearance, the clip has become haunting. It taps into a broader, documented trend in hip-hop, where children of prominent rappers are exploited, mocked, or even threatened as a weapon in adult rivalries. Nathan Murray Smith, by every official account, had no personal enemies, no rivalries, and no disputes. Law enforcement has been clear that his disappearance is a welfare and mental health concern, not a criminal investigation. Yet culturally, the instinctive reflex is different. The public and media automatically search for a narrative that involves threats, enemies, or vengeance. That reflex exists because the industry has repeatedly set dangerous precedents. One of the most chilling modern examples occurred in 2025 with the escalation between Nicki Minaj and Cardi B. A feud that had been simmering for years exploded into an episode where both women directed verbal attacks at each other's children. Nicki Minaj, born Anukika Tanya Marash Petty, insulted Cardi B's daughter, Culture, using demeaning names like Culture Vulture and even threatening physical violence, extending attacks to Cardi's younger daughter, Blossom. Cardi B, born Belcalis Marlene Almanzar, retaliated by mocking Nicki's son, publicly known as Papa Bear, questioning his developmental abilities and making dark, public jokes about him. The incident drew widespread condemnation, highlighting just how brutal the spillover effects of these adult conflicts can be for innocent children.
I think that's just a scary situation when you sitting there trying to figure, you don't know. He didn't take his phone. He might have had on shoes, might have didn't have on shoes. He don't have no personal items. That's the weirdest thing right there, because now you got me worried. Now I'm worried about you because I don't know what the hell going on. What happened to my damn son is what I'm asking at that point. So, I just pray for Lil Jon, and I pray for the mother of the boy too, because she going through it. It ain't just Lil Jon because he got a name. It's family, brothers and sisters. Everybody is on high alert when somebody missing.
One particularly alarming development emerged during the Boss Talk TV broadcast, sending shockwaves through viewers and fans alike. Local media outlet Rough Draft Atlanta reported that an active police matter was currently unfolding in Mayfield Park in Milton, Georgia, the very area where Nathan Murray Smith was last seen. The seriousness of the situation was immediately apparent, as authorities were treating it with the highest urgency, and any clue in that area could be pivotal. The report painted a chilling picture. A young man, 27 years old, potentially disoriented, out in the early morning hours without shoes or personal belongings, wandering into a public space that is otherwise quiet and familiar to the local community. The atmosphere of concern and tension in the broadcast was palpable, leaving viewers grasping for understanding as the details unfolded. To truly comprehend the weight of this disappearance, it is critical to understand who Nathan Murray Smith is, not just as the son of a global music icon, but as an independent individual with his own identity, career, and creative trajectory. Born in 1998, Nathan grew up surrounded by the music industry in ways that shaped his earliest experiences. Lil Jon, his father, has shared numerous stories of Nathan moving and kicking during studio sessions while still in utero, suggesting a life intertwined with music from the very beginning. Nathan's mother, a dancer, and Lil Jon, then rapidly building the crunk empire that would define Southern hip-hop for a generation, provided an environment steeped in creativity and rhythm. These early experiences weren't just anecdotes, they were foundational moments that set the stage for Nathan's lifelong relationship with music and performance. Nathan's immersion in music began almost immediately. As a toddler, he contributed vocals to Lil Jon and the East Side Boys' 2001 single BB, an extraordinary fact when you consider the trajectory of his own artistic career years later. By high school, he was producing his own beats, demonstrating both technical skill and artistic sensibility. He further honed his craft formally at the Scratch DJ Academy, one of the country's most prestigious programs for aspiring DJs, and went on to attend New York University, where he continued to develop his abilities in music production, engineering, and performance. Under the moniker DJ Young Slade, Nathan established himself as a serious artist in his own right, gradually stepping out from the shadow of his father's fame. His growth wasn't instantaneous. It was deliberate, methodical, and deeply rooted in dedication to his craft. By the mid-2020s, Nathan's career showed tangible momentum. In 2024, he collaborated with Lil Jon on Total Meditation, a unique blend of guided meditation and hip-hop music, which highlighted his ability to fuse innovation with mainstream appeal. They also worked together on tracks for Lil Jon's upcoming album Farewell, further cementing Nathan's presence in the industry. In March 2025, he released his own single titled Feels, actively promoting it through his Instagram account, Alade, and leveraging social media to reach a broad audience. His work ethic extended beyond recording studios. He performed live at festivals like One Music Fest in Atlanta, collaborated with other prominent artists including Jim Jones, and maintained strong professional ties across Atlanta's vibrant music scene. He even appeared alongside his father on Celebrity Family Feud, showing a personal side to the public while navigating the complexities of his own career. On Boss Talk TV, the hosts emphasized that Nathan's disappearance was not merely a tabloid story, it was a human tragedy unfolding in real time. The emotional weight was almost tangible on air. The hosts reflected on the perspective of a parent receiving news that their child has gone missing, unable to communicate with them, and powerless to intervene. Earlier in the same episode, prior to breaking the news of his disappearance, Nathan had appeared in a pre-recorded interview segment discussing his experiences growing up as Lil Jon's son. In that segment, he described his father simply as Dad, a man who enjoys drinking tea and watching movies at home, a normal, human portrayal that sharply contrasted with the high-profile figure of a Grammy-winning artist known worldwide. The juxtaposition between the affectionate, personal Nathan on screen and the missing person alert issued hours later by the Milton Police Department created a haunting sense of immediacy, leaving viewers grappling with the suddenness and severity of the situation. The hosts on Boss Talk TV took care to reiterate every aspect of Nathan's career and identity. He was not just the child of a celebrity, but a young man actively shaping his own artistic path, producing, recording, and mixing his own music independently. His disappearance represented both a personal tragedy for his family and a concerning disruption to a young career on the rise. The conversation on air was raw, with hosts articulating the terror and helplessness felt from a parental perspective, knowing that someone you love is out there, vulnerable, unreachable, and potentially in danger. Old enemies, simmering tensions, and rivalries that never fully die, these are all familiar elements in the world of hip-hop, and they form the backdrop for understanding the current, unsettling situation involving Lil Jon and his son, Nathan Murray Smith. The title of the viral video circulating online references Lil Jon's Ops, a term rooted in hip-hop vernacular that refers to opposition, enemies, or rivalries. For those unfamiliar, the word carries cultural weight. In the rap community, ops can signify real hostility, ongoing grudges, or long-standing feuds between artists and their camps. Yet, as chilling as the footage may appear, it is critical to separate speculation from fact. Extensive research across news outlets, social media channels, and specialized hip-hop coverage shows no evidence linking any of these historical or ongoing rivalries directly to Nathan himself. DJ Young Slade, Nathan's professional moniker, has no documented conflicts or beefs that would suggest a targeted threat. Law enforcement and family sources have repeatedly framed the disappearance primarily as a welfare and mental health concern rather than a criminal matter. Despite that, the optics of the footage, the young man appearing disoriented and vulnerable, cannot be ignored when placed against decades of industry feuds and high-profile conflicts surrounding his father. To fully grasp why the term ops resonates, you must understand the life and career of Jonathan Smith, better known as Lil Jon, and the environment from which he emerged. Lil Jon rose to prominence during the late 1990s and early 2000s Atlanta crunk movement, quickly establishing himself as the genre's loudest, most dominant figure. As the frontman of Lil Jon and the East Side Boys, he produced and performed anthems that defined an era. Get Low, Via, Throw It Up, and his signature ad-libs, Yeah, Okay, became not just songs, but cultural touchstones. These tracks were widely recognized, parodied by comedians like Dave Chappelle, and spread globally, cementing his influence. Lil Jon went on to collaborate across genres, from EDM to country, and maintained relevance for more than 2 decades, winning a Grammy for Turn Down for What alongside DJ Snake. His dominance, however, came with friction, especially in Atlanta's highly competitive southern rap scene. Among the most notable documented disputes in Lil Jon's career was his feud with fellow Atlanta rapper Pastor Troy, born Micah LeVar Troy. The conflict originated after a collaboration on the 2002 track Throw It Up from Lil Jon and the East Side Boys' Kings of Crunk album. While the song brought Pastor Troy unprecedented mainstream exposure, it also planted seeds of resentment that festered over the years. In interviews, including a 2021 appearance on Vlad TV, Pastor Troy recounted feeling excluded from Lil Jon's expanding empire. Disagreements over label politics, creative decisions, and missed opportunities led to the release of Murder Man 2 in 2006, a diss track targeting Lil Jon, his Beamy label, and affiliates like Lil Scrappy and Crime Mob. Lil Jon, consistent with his approach over decades, never responded directly to the track. Instead, he remained focused on his craft, collaborations, and career longevity, opting to rise above public beefs rather than engage in retaliatory disputes. Yet the landscape of rivalry extended further. Tensions with the Inyoung twins over creative control, credit, and business dealings, internal conflicts within the East Side Boys, and peripheral disagreements with Lil Scrappy at Beamy added layers of friction within the Atlanta scene. Throughout all of this, Lil Jon maintained a remarkably consistent stance. He rarely addressed feuds publicly, avoided diss tracks, and positioned himself as a legacy figure in crunk music. In recent years, particularly 2024 through 2025, he turned his focus inward, discussing his journey toward mental and physical health. He publicly acknowledged heavy drinking in the past, linked to his high-energy stage persona, and detailed how he overhauled his life following health scares around age 50. Adopting meditation, EMDR therapy, fitness routines, and a disciplined approach to wellness, Lil Jon emphasized prioritizing his family, especially his newborn daughter and his older son, Nathan. This context makes the current crisis all the more devastating. Here is a man who had spent the last 2 years rebuilding his life around family and personal health, only to confront the nightmare of a 27-year-old son vanishing without a trace. Nathan's mother, Nicole Smith, and Lil Jon had an arrangement following their separation, adding complexity to family dynamics, yet all public accounts indicate that Lil Jon and Nathan maintained a close bond. They collaborated musically, appeared together on television, and Nathan frequently spoke of his father with warmth, describing him not as a larger-than-life performer, but simply as Dad, the man who drinks tea, watches movies, and cares deeply for his children. The hosts on Boss Talk TV articulated the unimaginable anguish of this situation, the raw terror of a parent knowing their child is missing, unreachable, and potentially in danger, while the world watches and waits alongside them. The impossibility of keeping composure, the helplessness of not having information, and the emotional toll of navigating media attention all collided into one profoundly tragic narrative, underscoring the human reality behind the headlines. Similarly, in 2024, the feud between Drake and Kendrick Lamar demonstrated the devastating sophistication with which family members could be weaponized. Drake's track Family Matters alleged intimate family disputes involving Kendrick's children, creating psychological pressure and public scrutiny. Kendrick's response, Meet the Grams, directly addressed Drake's family, exposing children to the conflict while highlighting the intensely personal stakes involved in these musical battles. Years earlier, Pusha T's story of Adon forced Drake to publicly acknowledge his previously hidden son, Adonis, exposing a child's private life as collateral in a competitive feud. These incidents, alongside examples involving Eminem's daughter Haley Jade and interactions with Ja Rule and Machine Gun Kelly, establish a clear, disturbing pattern. Children of famous rappers often become involuntary participants in adult rivalries, either through social media, music, or public commentary, with consequences that range from humiliation to real-world danger. Even at the extreme end of the spectrum, rivalries can become lethal. In cities like Jacksonville, Florida, and Stockton, California, ongoing feuds between rap crews have led to shootings at family events, targeting children with no connection to the original conflict. The pattern is undeniable. From social media taunts to public diss tracks, the culture has normalized a reflexive connection between rappers' personal disputes and their families. This context is what makes the footage of Nathan Murray Smith circulating online so unsettling. Not because Nathan is known to have any enemies, or because there is any evidence of foul play, but because viewers conditioned by decades of precedent instinctively perceive risk when a rapper's child becomes the subject of headlines. Lil Jon himself, despite decades of rivalries with figures like Pastor Troy, the Young twins, and former East Side Boys members, never engaged in attacks that endangered families. Past disputes were professional, creative, and financial in nature, resolved or allowed to cool without targeting loved ones. Yet the cultural expectation remains. When a rapper's child appears in the news under alarming circumstances, the public assumes the worst. And in this case, Nathan's disappearance has created a scenario where speculation and fear overshadow facts, despite the clear statements from authorities that this is a welfare issue. In the closing moments of the Boss Talk TV broadcast, the host shifted from cultural context to the human reality. Beyond rivalries, beyond industry history, beyond speculation, the story's heart is profoundly personal. A father, Lil Jon, cannot find his son. A young man walked out of his home one February morning and has not been seen since. A family is left waiting, praying, and hoping for answers while the media churns, the internet consumes every moment, and the world watches with bated breath. That is the real takeaway, the personal, human tragedy that transcends celebrity, rivalry, and spectacle.